Hey guys, Travis Cook here of Learning How to Think, and it's the 18th of September 2020, and it appears the government is going to try and go ahead with locking down the Northeast. Supposedly 9 million people are going to be attempted to be locked down. I think the wording is very important here because who really thinks this is going to be very successful? Now, some people for sure are going to go along with it. Some people are still buy into this narrative, so there are still going to be some people who go along with it. But I reckon a lot of people are going to. This is going to be it for them. This will do it for them. They will have nothing to lose. So why the fuck would they want to go back into a lockdown? This might just do it. And to me, it really seems like the government's losing control. That's what I'm getting from this. Especially with that big protest coming up that I'd just like to remind you guys about again. On the 26th in Trafalgar Square in London, I think part of the reason that they are so hastily coming out with all of these measures is because they are fucking scared. They are shit scared, terrified, frightened, absolutely just spitting feathers because they don't want the public to realise how not lethal this virus actually is. A lot of people are realising it, a lot of people still haven't realised it, and they don't want everyone knowing this because it would make what they did to the country look absolutely insane, which it was. Maybe it was necessary to wake people up though, but there will be a lot of people will look at what happened, and once they understand that the virus is just less severe than the regular flu, and they be like, what the fuck happened? Why did they do this? Why? You know, and perhaps we can show a little bit of sympathy for these people. I was going to use a very worse word there, but they were probably scared themselves for sure. You know, everyone at the beginning was. Nobody had any idea what this thing was and how severe it could have been. So, you know, no doubt they were scared. But then they have people coming in who are organised and smart, like cunning snakes or sharks, who were, you know, already in on this and coming in and saying, hey, if you don't do this, all these people are going to die and you'll be blamed for it. So you better do this. And they must have been able to convince enough part of the government to do that. And under the chaos of the fear that was happening in the beginning, they were able to sort of throw these measures out there, and they convinced the government to accept that this is the right way to handle this virus. And, well, I actually think the lockdowns were necessary, but not for stopping the spread of the virus, but to wake people the fuck up to the government. And it's not so much the government themselves. They are just, for a large part of it, useful idiots, or they've been blackmailed, bribery, or they're just, you know, stupid. But it's the globalists. It's the people who are running the show at the top of all of this, who are trying to break the world, trying to break human society so they can reset it and usher in their new wave of control, their new world order. This is literally what so many people have been talking about for so long, and it's happening right now. But the exciting part is, I think that their plan had to be sped up. I don't think this is exactly how they wanted it to go. It's almost, it's like, I don't know, say if you have this song, but it's not ready yet, but you have to release it. So they released it early without finishing the fine-tuning here and there, and there's bits out of place, and it doesn't quite sound right. They didn't get it mastered, I don't know. Something caused this plan, I think, to be rolled out prematurely. But still, it's a very clever plan done by very clever people, even if they are evil. And you can see how effective it's been. Imagine if it had been even more carefully calculated, and a little bit more control was, you know, in the hands of the people who are pulling the strings. So still, though, it's been pretty insane. You know, you had Australia, Victoria, as far as I'm aware, is still in insane level of draconian lockdown, and you know, there was drones policing the streets of Spain to make sure people followed their insanely strict lockdown. And I haven't been following what's going on there recently. So it was, you know, it's pretty damn dystopian, draconian. I don't know how much more closer you want to get to just a world where there is no more freedoms. There is little to live for other than to be, you know, 100% controlled. So fuck that. I'd rather die than live in a world like that. And I don't think we're going to get there. Because I was laying in bed this morning thinking about all of this, and I just got a really strong vibe, really strong feeling that the government is scared. They are scared, but they're scared of the public realizing the level of their fuck up and how not severe this virus is. So remember that there are psychologists bringing in a large part of all of this. Psychologists are advising Boris on how he should bring out the COVID measures to ensure maximum complacency. That's what's being done. So it's going to be up to us to sort of break out of their predictive programming and just totally go against the grain, fuck up all of their behavioural programming attempts, and just resist. Because what's it going to be, guys? If we don't resist this, even with, the blatantly obvious reasons why we should, then it's going to make it a lot harder, I think, down the road. And, history repeats itself, because the people of the UK have been here before. We have fought against mandatory vaccinations all the way back in the 1800s, starting around the 1840 when there was the introduction of the Vaccination Act, where free vaccines were offered to the public, up until about 1953 when the compulsory vaccination 1853 when the compulsory vaccination act was brought in, and then there was this huge anti-vaxxer movement, and that eventually ended with the I can't remember the exact legislation, but it's something like the conscientious objector. And it was in the beginning of the 1900s that was enacted and brought into place. And so we've been here before. It's amazing how similar, actually, when you start to read some of the literature on how the people had to get together and hand out flyers and unionize and all of this. They had to organize and come together to stop their mandatory vaccinations. And it's like you could almost repeat that exact same scenario with today, which is fascinating, to be honest with you. I think that's so interesting. So clearly, there's some lesson the UK public needs to learn here. I don't know whether it's just a constant fighting against tyranny that has to continue to bolster us up as people. If it's probably the same causes and roots of evil that were trying to do it back then that have still somehow managed to contain or retain their power now. So that's quite interesting when you think about it. And eventually we were successful. So history repeats itself, and here we are again. We haven't got as far as mandatory vaccines yet. If it is the same people in power, and maybe when you go into the hyperdimensional realms, it probably is. So the way they're trying to do it this time is a lot different to when it was done before. It wasn't just like, okay, here are the vaccines. Oh, you don't want to take them? Okay, we want you to take them though because we have this control trip thing. We think, so we're going to make them compulsory. That's basically what they went from. That's from what I've researched. But today, they know they couldn't just do that. So there's all these different little steps to prime people's minds ready. All these little rules, every little rule that they get you to follow that you didn't used to follow before COVID became a thing, is a step in the right direction for them. Every time people, before they're entering the shop, they think, I need to wear a mask. The government's told me to wear a mask. The government will hurt me if I don't wear a mask. So they put on the mask. It's prepping people. It's priming people to be even more subservient to this agenda. So that's why I personally will never wear a mask, and I will resist at every little step of the way that I can. I won't give my details down for the track and trace. I write my name as the Juggernaut, because fuck all of that. I won't wear the masks. I will do everything I can in every little way possible. I don't even use the hand sanitizer. I found it just sort of happened naturally when they asked me to do it. Reverted to that 2-year-old, 3-year-old mindset and just sort of tapped it, but nothing comes out. And then I do that, and then they smile, and I smile, and everybody's happy. So yeah, I just so it's so frustrating because when you can see how not serious this virus is, but still people believe it's so serious. It's quite frustrating, but then again, I refer back to faith, the fact that it's like this craziness is all like this because people have to wake up, and ultimately the the price that is the reward that is gained from humanity with when people actually wake up and realize the government is fucking with them, and it's been, it's compromised by the globalists. Well, it's a step in the right direction. Every time people realize that's and ultimately it's worth the price to pay, because soul evolution, I think, is what we're all really here for, and so that lasts throughout lifetimes. So it's probably worth it if the boat gets shaken up a little bit, if it leads to lessons learned and evolution. But let's not shake the boat so fucking much that it sinks. That's what we have to make sure. That's what the public have to do. It's up to us to make sure we don't lose the entire ship whilst people get slapped around so they wake up. Alright? Alright. And I'll see you next time, guys.